Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for being here today. I really do appreciate you guys being here. My name is Michael Malloy. I'm the principal here at Louisville High School. Let's just start by introducing ourselves.
Nate Blackwell, math teacher.
Chris Hall, Science. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ross Hastings, Social Studies.
Gabriel McLaughlin, Social Studies.
Thank you. Gentlemen, if you would mind printing your name and signing on the signature page, I'd really appreciate it. And like I say, guys, hey, thank you for being here again. I think there's this driving force that we all have. And I know a couple of you guys coach, I know you have it in your classroom. But this word that comes up, vision, what is it? To you. I want you to sit there, I want you to think about it. What is vision to you? And if somebody's comfortable sharing, I would really appreciate it if you're vulnerable enough to share in front of us.
I think vision's like where we want to go.
Yes.
Looking forward on where we want to go and what we're trying to achieve.
Yes, I like that.
I think it's also how we see things, the way they are, the way they ought to be, where we want them to be, our perspective.
Good. You know, it's funny because there's this famous picture. Maybe you guys have seen it before. It's this family in an RV, and it's a real picturesque picture. There's this RV, and in the background, it's like this mountain setting. Almost looks like somebody driving their RV up to the Rockies in Colorado. Okay, and it asks, well, what do you see with this picture? And most people respond with, it's a family going on vacation. It is. The RV, though, if you sit there, represents our school. The mountains represent the vision. Like, think about it. You're in an RV, and all you can think about is you see the ending vacation place, and it's like everything's going through your mind. We're going to whitewater raft. We're going to wake up. We're going to go hiking. We're going to cook s'mores over a campfire. And that's everything we see. But the road to get there is like this. It's windy. There's potholes. There could be mooses crossing that we got to stop for. And that right there, gentlemen, is what we call our mission. Okay? So, with that being said, what is a mission to you? We've already established what a vision is. You guys gave great examples, but what is the mission?
How do you get there?
How you get there? I like it. Short, sweet, to the point. Short, sweet, to the point. And that is the purpose of today's meeting, is I really want to examine our vision and our mission here at Louisville High School. All right, I'm going to hand you this exercise right here. Okay, it's called My Core Beliefs. Here's the beauty of this worksheet right here. There are no wrong answers. And the reason there are no wrong answers is because what you strongly believe in is 100% correct, even if it's wrong. Okay? Now I'm going to hand you this, and this is just kind of an exemplar. I'm not saying it's great. You may disagree with some stuff on here. These are my core beliefs. And this just might help guide you a little bit. All right? Just kind of help guide you. All right? If you could you please fill out your core beliefs? I'll give you about 2 minutes. Like I said, I gave you mine. Okay, and I'm not saying mine is 100% correct. It's what I believe in. It is what I believe in. I think schools should teach students the critical thinking skills needed for the real world. I think a good school is one that fosters learning for all students, not just our top students, every student. A successful student can own their learning. An effective classroom is one in which is safe for all. A good staff member is one who believes in everyone. An effective school faculty is one that believes in the students. Guys, that's why we're here. And a quality instructional program includes multiple ways to learn. Those are core values to me. Those are my core beliefs. You may differ from those, and that's fine. Would anyone like to share one of their core values or beliefs, if they're comfortable enough?
2,
Yes, sir. Can I hear?
a good school
Yeah.
is one that produces college-ready students.
I like that. I like it. Why do you feel like that is very important to you, Mr. Hall?
I'm not I believe that high school is still about college preparation.
Okay.
I know that's not the same for everyone.
Right.
But I truly believe that should be the process of high schools, is to get students ready for higher academics.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. You were just saying number 2, or you had another?
That was number 2.
Okay, perfect,
Answer
perfect.
number 2.
Would anyone else, care to share?
Yeah, well, go ahead.
Yeah.
So I think the schools need to prepare students, all students, for their next step. You know, I think there are some students that need to be prepared for something other than higher learning and a good benefit a lot of our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And could you provide an example of something?
A trade.
Yeah.
You know, I think more
Yeah.
trade preparation. I know that schools that I've been at that have had programs where kids, like we have programs where kids can get working in the fire,
Yeah.
fighting, or hair cutting, or just, you know, a lot
Absolutely.
of trades.
Good. Anyone else?
Yeah, the successful students able to, I think they prioritize their success, but they also understand and learn how to deal with failure.
Yes.
And just growing as a immaturity and dealing with failure and understanding it's gonna happen and overcoming that's a big obstacle that we face here.
It is. It is.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, I put on mine the same thing, but also making decisions on their own. Like learning how to process information and then coming up with a conclusion, being an adult and being able to make those decisions without help.
Yes. That's key. That's key because they're going to be on their own very soon. Good. Good. So we have an understanding, and I want you guys to just hold on to this because we're going to come back to it. Okay. All right. Let's chart our vision real fast. All right. In 5 to 10 years. All right. In 5 to 10 years. What do you hope current students will be doing?
Does that mean current students now in 10 years or the current students 10 years from now?
The current students we have here right now, in 5 to 10 years, what do you hope they will be doing?
I mean, I hope they're providing for themselves and hopefully one day a family, but can be successful in our society and have a profession, have a skill, have something, a career that they've built and can lean on the things they learned throughout high school and whatever the next steps after high school would be.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that. Anyone else?
Hope they're content where they are, but also realizing that in 10 years, that's another time to reinvent yourself. You know, you're gonna be almost 30, so you can do some other things.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember being an 18-year-old and then this is what I want to do, this is how my life's going to be, and all of a sudden, and look where I am now. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of us have similar situations to that. I mean, it's not always a straight road. Good, good. What do you want learning to look like at your school? What will your future students be learning? So to me, learning at our school, I want it to look, and I mentioned this a few times through my core beliefs, it is multiple. You know, I truly don't believe that every student is good at taking notes or good at, answering numbers 1 through 10 on page 7. I think that's where a lot of kids, we lose them. And that's what I believe. That doesn't mean it's 100% correct. But I want learning to look fun. I want it to be fun because then we get all kids wanting to do their work, wanting to complete their work. And when they're doing that and they're having fun, they're learning. Does this look different to anyone else?
I mean, I think that sometimes there can be a stigma with the word work, and our kids don't like it, but making it fun, which is our job to find ways to connect all the students. Some students like certain different ways to learn, but it should be engaging.
Yeah.
And that's been the word we've said for a long time in education.
It is.
Continuing to find the engagement and in social studies could be a little bit easier than in math, certain maths. So just getting the kids to understand the importance of why they're learning and why it's important to be a lifelong learner and continue to grow.
Yeah, we talked about failure a second ago, and so learning how to handle failure and how that's not necessarily a bad thing and how we can grow from that. So making sure that as we're learning, whatever age we are, we're learning from those failures and using those to help us get to successes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good job. I like that. All right. So let's move on to this. Let's fill this out. And I'm going to hand one of these out to everyone. If I can find it. Oh. You go, Mr. Blackwell, Mr. Hall, Mr. Haston, Mr. McGoughlin. Thank you. All right, and I'll fill this out. You can fill it out if you would like. You don't have to, but I'm going to fill it out virtually up here on the board. Okay? So the area is school culture. All right? School culture is the personality of the school, what is valued, celebrated, rewarded, how people interact, communicate, and grow professionally. All right? Guys, I would like to say that I think we have a positive school culture here at Louisville High School because you guys are still working here. I would think if it was a toxic culture that you would get the heck out. All right, but our culture is far from perfect. Nothing's ever 100% perfect. It can always grow. All right, so in the future, what I want to see, hear, or feel that will make my school a high-performing school, how does that make, what does the culture look like in that?
I think you need to celebrate kids' growth. And I think a lot of times we structure like it should look a certain way. Like celebration should be, hey, you got straight A's, but if a kid's struggling with maybe he's not passing classes or he's not behaving, but you should celebrate each individual's growth in their own windy road of education. You know, if you have a kid that's struggling with showing up for attendance, celebrate them showing up for a week straight. I mean, and that needs to be individual faculty members, it needs to be the APs.
I like that.
But you can't say, hey, we'll only celebrate, or you can, but you shouldn't say, in my belief, that, hey, if you get straight A's, you can celebrate. Because there's not every kid in school is going to get straight A's. I think it's growth and within the individual, because everybody's going to be doing on a different road to success, hopefully.
I like that because, like you said, not everybody is straight A's. But if we can see a kid that's maybe an all C student start to get B's and A's, let's celebrate them. That's big. Anyone else? I like how, Mr. Haston, you added about faculty. I mean, think about that first year teacher, and we've all been there, and we've all seen them. They struggle. You know, maybe the next semester they're, you know, less parent phone calls or, you know, whatever the case might be. I think that's big. Good. All right, curriculum. We all know what curriculum is, okay? And there's a little definition right there. I know it's the big C word, okay, that we all, you know, sometimes cringe at. But in the future, what do we want curriculum to look like here at Louisville High School?
I still believe in 3 R's.
Okay.
So, you know, when I don't see books and I don't see kids writing, I see 2 of the 3 things missing.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and you know this, Mr. Holland, I know you're big on books, and that's great. you know, what about if books are digital?
Not a big fan of digital books. You know, when I go to college, I still send kids to college, they go to the bookstore. Right? And so I think that they lose that skill that we take books from them, and then so I'm a big guy, you know, college prep.
Yeah.
You go to college, and then the first thing you get is a big old book. You kind of lose. You don't understand how to use that, and you know, understanding that academics in a lot of ways is private reading. That's how what academics should be, is that hours and hours of reading, which is why every university has a big library. You know, you should be reading.
I agree.
I think the curriculum should promote multiple skills, right? So you got your reading, you got your writing, even across those multi-curricular, so math, science.
Yeah.
I mean, in my math class, we do a lot of, it's different writing because it's more technical, but it's different than if you're in English class, but we still write in math. And so those skills that we're talking about, whatever curriculum you use, I think it's not as necessary, but giving you that opportunity to use those skills.
Right. And I've walked into your class several times, and I like some of the stuff where you do a lot of this cross content. You know, your math, but you're also involving econ type stuff. You know, in your problems, and that's excellent. Good. Instruction. How is this going to look for the future? How's it going to feel? Guys, I mean, like, let's look back to when we were in high school and let's look today. I mean, it's totally different. You know, a lot of it, like this right here, this projected up on the board with Apple TV technology.
I think you have to adjust to shrinking attention spans. You know, I think you've got to keep moving, and I think you've got to work really hard to engage your students. I think if you can get students engaged early, you've got a chance.
Good.
But it's much more of a challenge now than it probably was when we were kids.
And you know, I think you do a lot of great things in your class, Coach McLaughlin. And one way you really engage your students is, I love how you have these catchy warm-ups. Have you felt like that helps? Is that why you continue to do it, or does it get the kid that's still sleepy from the weekend really engaged?
Yeah, I hope that one, you get them engaged, but then two, you're building a community where kids aren't afraid to speak up. You know, if you can get them to answer something silly like what their favorite kind of Pop-Tart is, then you're more likely to get them to answer a question and kind of get past that fear of failure or being criticized by their classmates.
Yep.
And I think that goes into developing relationships.
Yeah.
And that's the key to this is if you have a good relationship, they're more likely to trust you and to understand. And then as you're instructing the curriculum, some of the curriculum they may not find value in. You've got to find real world examples on ways
that.
and why you need to read. You know, they're not probably at home being taught or told that they need to read, but when they get older, they're going to have to be able to read and to comprehend and to understand the importance of just basic educational things.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's changed a lot with, the way we assess students with project-based learning and, moving away from the standardized tests or into the week, tests that we would have when I was in high school. It's more of, diversity and how you
Yeah.
see where they are.
I mean, think about a simple thing like a Kahoot. Kids go nuts over it, but nonetheless, it's just a quiz. That's all Kahoot is. It's just a quiz. But why are kids more willing to do a Kahoot than if we cut up a little paper at the end of class with 4 answer choices?
Because they're competing.
They're having fun. There's cool music in the background. All right, school effectiveness. The overall physical and social emotional conditions that permeate the building and impact the quality of teaching and learning. Clear and focused mission, safe and orderly environment. To me, I think school has to be safe for all, and it's our job as admin, as teachers, as support staff to create that safe environment. And once kids feel safe, man, they will do wonders for you. But if they don't feel safe, then they don't come to school or they skip class, And it's just, it's given the wrong impression. And that's not what we want. That's to me.
No, I agree, because there's, like I said, there's always kids that are in different stages of life, and some are smaller, some talk different, and they should all feel valued and welcomed and safe, and I think that's our job, is to promote the community aspect, which like Coach McLaughlin does in this class, opening up and having kids speak. And that's another thing they need to be able to do, is
Yes.
speak. You know, getting up in front of people and talking and discussing their opinions.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to have them feel safe.
It's like the emotional safety. Like, we live in this world where, like, if you do anything wrong, it's caught on camera and you're gonna get exposed and we're gonna laugh at it. And so, like, you see a lot of kids that they don't want that.
Right.
You know, so just trying to build that community to where they feel safe to share and they feel safe to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Goes a long, long way.
I think that's why a lot of teachers stand out in the hallway too, like I know we do on the third floor, and we're always talking kind of during the passing period, greeting the kids. We got the counselors that hand out stickers on Friday.
Yeah, that's big.
You know, just being in the hallway, being present, going out of your way to say hi to people.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right, student support. The degree to which the school is student centered, where all students are valued and supported and receive time and or resources to grow academically, physically, and social emotionally. You know, I think we kind of just hit on that, but you know, I think it's our job to let children know all the programs we have available for them. And I think sometimes they don't. You know, it's a big high school. You know, people go from point A to point B, sometimes they don't see, and I think it's our job to really get that information to them. And one of the things I love that we do is during advisory time, the campus-wide, whatchamacallit, PowerPoints or lessons for that matter, where we really get this information to them. We good?
And there's tons of, like I said, tons of resources, and I think sometimes I have kids that are called down for these resources because they feel like singled out, but
Yeah.
helping them understand that like these resources don't have to be forever. I mean, they need them, and they can grow from them, and then, you know, it's kind of like training wheels for them. Eventually they can get off of them, but they need to understand the importance of why they're in there and what they're providing for them.
Absolutely. All right, and then the last thing, continuous improvement. The intentional processes and practices put in place so that the school improves. The planning, collaboration, collection, and analysis of data. All right. One thing I think we do really well, and I've seen you guys lead these, that's why I brought you into this meeting today, is PLCs. I think you guys do a great job of getting together content and then department and really planning out these great lessons that are helping kids grow. Like Coach McLaughlin, I know you at one time were teaching government, and your students were struggling with the powers of the president. And then I know Coach Haston had a really good lesson on that, and you guys got together and you had the data to back it, and all of a sudden you taught your kids the lesson that he taught his, and man, that growth just happened. It was like magic overnight, you know. And I know, Nate, you guys in the math department are doing great things, and Coach, you're doing great things as well. Hey, anyone else got anything to share on that?
I think it's on us as teachers realizing the first product, the second product's not the most, the best one we're gonna have. You gotta continue to review. And when I taught history, we'd review tests all the time, and sometimes the questions we asked were just not good questions. And you gotta go back and figure out why they're missing it, and why is it really getting, are we trying to get the response that we really want? And just gotta be able to, as teachers, we have to be able to adjust and keep up and ask the right questions and do the right lessons and continue to find ways to make our kids, get the product.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gentlemen, I'm gonna keep this here for a second, we'll come back to it. Here's our current, mission and vision statement here at Louisville High School, and actually I'll hand this little paper out to you. Because I put a couple of other schools on there. Okay. And I just want you to review this, there's one more on the back. Okay. Our current vision and mission here at Louisville High School is that the vision is all students are confident, equipped with the knowledge and skills to thrive and adapt for the future. The mission, engaging and inspiring learners and leaders. Now, to me, I thought this the vision statement to me is well written. I like how it is designed around students' futures. The one thing I would like to see is in the mission of how we are going to engage and inspire added to that statement. Like how? Like to me that's just kind of empty. And that's kind of why we're here today. I want to fix this. And I've included like Dallas High School, another local high school, W.T. White, another local high school, and then Naaman Forest, just down the road a little bit. Do any of those stick out? Do you like them? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you gotta have it?
You can definitely see bigger school districts, like everything is more about big, and then Lake Dallas is selling small school, but with big opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting with how their wording is so much different than our other districts. W.T. White's big school, Naaman Forest, definitely different types of kids.
Yeah.
But why would it be important to emphasize a small school atmosphere?
Why do you think?
I think what they're trying to say is that class size matters.
Yeah.
And that if you're in a different school district, your visions and statements are gonna change because you're looking at overcrowdedness, right? You're looking at being understaffed. So your missions and your visions are different.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anything else?
Yeah, I think engaging and inspiring depends on who you're, one thing that's engaging and inspiring to one student is gonna change for the next, right? So I think maybe providing opportunities for those students would be something that we could add to the mission statement, like providing
Yeah.
multiple opportunities.
And I don't think we're far off. I think you're correct, Coach Blackwell, is that like it's engaging and inspiring all learners and all leaders through X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm. I think about a mission statement like in the business world, right?
Right.
So you gotta think about, what we're selling, right? And who our consumers are and who we're trying to sell it to and meeting their needs. And so that's what I think a good mission statement would be is what are we providing and what needs are we meeting?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that's why big districts gotta be careful of their vision and mission statements for their district, knowing that a district has different types of schools. Louisville's different than the needs of Marcus. And so when you blanket a district with visions, it makes it harder. I think that's one of the problems with big school districts, is that it can be too big.
Every school needs their own.
Every
Yeah,
school
it's
needs
always
their own.
Every school needs their own.
And they need support from the district that, hey, things that we do in Louisville may not what we do at Flower Mountain, but there's a why behind the difference.
Correct. And even like within our own feeder, our vision at the high school is gonna be different from a middle school or elementary. I sure hope so, even if it is the same types of students, they're younger, different. They learn differently than older kids.
And with our 3 campus situation,
Yeah.
it makes it even more unique.
Absolutely. So that drives us to our final activity today, gentlemen. Let's create a new vision and mission statement, one that we can all agree upon. Do we need to delete the whole thing? Do we need to just tweak it a little?
I think what Coach Blackwell is saying is adding, you can go on the mission statement, engaging and inspiring learners and leaders through providing multiple opportunities
I
or
like
something to that.
Does everyone like
Because I
that?
think the vision's good. The vision where we want to go, I think,
Yeah.
is good. All students are confident, equipped with knowledge and skills to thrive, and that's kind of what we talked about the very first thing is what we want
Yeah.
classrooms and students to look like.
It's just and I'm not the only one then that, and obviously Coach Blackwell and yourself, Coach Hasten, think that the mission statement's just kind of vague.
Yeah, and that's part of education is you throw out big words, but I think if you were to narrow it down and give specific ways.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to be vague because there's so many different types of students.
So let's put it up there, and I want to use the expo. I don't want to type. I want to get back, go back to the basics a little bit. Let's just rewrite it. Let's throw some good verbs that everybody, even people in the community, somebody from Walmart can walk in and be like, okay, I understand this. I know their vision, which we're good with keeping, but we know how we're going to accomplish this vision. And I want to put it in basic terms so that everyone can understand it. But it's also precise with what we're doing here.
Right.
Okay?
Why do y'all think that there's graduation is only used by one of these school districts as their mission?
Probably something that was a struggle in the past, or something that they're trying
Is
to.
that name it
address.
for us?
And in that, the mountains?
Yeah.
Right?
That's where we want them.
Graduation is, and only one of the four have that as their mission.
Yeah. So I say let's add that in the mission.
Graduation rate matter.
Okay?
Does it matter?
I think it does matter. Because think about life without graduating. It's tough.
What you see a couple times, it's empower and achieve them to having success in life,
Inspiring.
prepared to reach their full potential in society, confident and competent. I think it's a combination. You don't just want to graduate. We can hear anyone a diploma, but we want to graduate confident and competent members of society.
What
I think
about-
it's where those two things blend?
Yeah, and I think graduating college and career ready, maybe. College and career, because like you mentioned earlier, being successful, and that doesn't have to be college, it can be a trade.
But, is this an educational setting? Or is this an emotional support setting?
I think that's a great, that's a great question.
Probably a combination
It's
of
gotta
both.
be, it's gotta be both, you know, and that's why we're here, let's write this.
I mean, I
thing.
like what Mr. Blackwell said about what are we selling. We're selling graduation, but we're also selling engagement, because we've said that.
Because if kids aren't engaged, you start to see kids skip, and you start to see them not come, or, come once a week, and then.
And we're selling inspiration. We want them to be inspired to learn, not just learn because they have to.
Absolutely.
That's where I kind of come from, is like, does a kid come to school because he's inspired by the emotional support? Or is he inspired about what it's gonna do for him to get ready for college? Like, are they really inspired when they come here? Or are they just dealing with what's given to them? But when they wake up in the morning, do they really see that going to school is inspiring me to become what I wanna do later in life?
And this goes back to, putting you guys in place and having you here, is I want kids waking up wanting to go to Coach Hall's class.
Right.
Because they know that's that safe place where they have emotional support, yet they are going to learn.
But if they had the choice, would they come?
But I that's why I like this word empowered.
Yeah.
I think we need to, I think that's one of the top talking points we have is empowering students to.
Did we all do this during COVID too? Did y'all all have to do this? A lot of this with your districts? Like, I feel like we wrote our vision statements and our mission statements during that time so much. And it was a lot of the same kind of thought, like, what is it really?
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and draw this up really fast, okay? And then we can always come back and revise it, maybe if we see this isn't fitting, 3 to 4 months down the road. Okay, cause we gotta give it some time to catch too, and we gotta give ourselves a realistic timeline. Alright, so we're all cool with just adding on to what we have now. Is everyone fine with that? Okay, so engaging and inspiring learners and leaders to be college and career ready, to be college and career graduates.
I would say college and career ready.
Okay. Is everyone fine with that?
And I like what WT White's, they put equitable education. That kinda goes back to McLaughlin.
Mike, I used to work with a guy that his mission statement was kind of like that college and career ready, but he would say the futures that they create.
Ooh, I like that.
So it would talk, whatever's next, it's something that they are actively
Yes.
a part of, and change, that course may change throughout, but it's something that
Yeah.
they're in control of. So I put provide opportunities for learners and leaders to engage, inspire, and graduate prepared for their futures that they create.
Okay.
So I think it's pretty similar to what we had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. I like that. You want to go? Is everyone cool with going with that? It's a collective effort in here today.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Blackwell, I'm gonna come back to my computer because it's got too much for me to write on the board, and I'm gonna type that up. Awesome. Actually, I want you to read it for me, please. Because this is a team ownership in here.
So, mission statement, provide opportunities for learners and leaders to engage, inspire, and graduate prepared for the futures that they create.
Excellent job, gentlemen. All right, I really like what we've accomplished today. And we got some good work in. I'm gonna ask you gentlemen to help me implement or roll this out through various methods, through staff meetings with the staff, provide examples. I wanna put billboards over around the school, banners. I want this in every classroom. And then let's find a creative way to have the students start talking like this, because if the students start talking like this, then there's buy-in. And once we have buy-in, gentlemen, we can accomplish anything we want. I really appreciate you guys being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job.